there are what are called venture networks, there are angel networks. There's all kinds of places where people do congregate who look for these early stage investments. But the hardest money you will ever raise in a business is this thing that is really true seed capital. You know, that those very first dollars. Those are the dollars that people end up raising from their parents, raising from their relatives, raising from their friends, saving up from years and years and years of work, putting it on their credit card. You know, there are certain things that entrepreneurs have done since there have been entrepreneurs. If you're doing your business right, you shouldn't need $1 bazillion to get it to a point where second stage funders will look at you. You've really got to figure out the low cost, low budget ways of doing it. And part of being an entrepreneur is knowing how to stretch a dollar. You know, how to get suppliers to carry you in the early days, how to get equipment manufacturers to sell you their equipment with very extended terms. And in today's marketplace, you have most of the people who are your suppliers, are your providers of all these things. They want to sell. You know, they find ways to finance you. But anyway, that's starting. And to me, that's still always the hard way, where if you at least find the company, this is why I love purchasing, all of it's there. And now just understanding the techniques enable you to reassemble it and create all the cash right out of how you do it. So that's one of the reasons I prefer buying. And a lot of times, a person will say, well, all right, I want to get into a business, there's nothing like it. I have to start because there's nothing else like this. Well, that may be, but somewhere out there, there's a business that's similar to, compatible with, or could even distribute or manufacture what it is that you're going to do. And that business has all the assets, all the cash flow that with the right techniques you can get in there and buy it without any of your capital and now divert it to what you want to do. So there's always a leverage strategy somewhere for getting it done.
No,
that's okay.
Well, I'm just getting final question because we're running out of time here. But what's one piece of advice you'd give to an entrepreneur that's really looking to kick it up to a new level? Somebody that's maybe been out there and they're running their business, maybe they're doing a little less than $1 million a year, somewhere at that level. They're saying, hey, I want to grow this thing exponentially. What's the biggest piece of advice you could give somebody?
Well, I have an axe to grind. It's called aggregation, marketplace aggregation, because that's where the leverage is now. I'm a leverage person, and what I do is look for leverage at every intersection of a business. And the beauty of aggregation is, take two companies that have parallel clients, that are parallel in a marketplace. They don't do the same thing, but they serve the same marketplace. Look at their database. You're going to find 5 to 10% the same customers. The rest are psychographically the same customers, but not the same customer. Right. And you use the relationship of each company with its client base to cross-market the product or service of the other. Now, if you're only doing it with two companies, your cross-marketing leverage is very limited. But if you have a marketplace that's served by 3 dozen companies, and now all of you are working in that model, your growth rate explodes. And that's why aggregation to me is right now so exciting, because it gives you the opportunity to do that kind of cross-marketing, to literally explode growth, not grow it incrementally, explode it. And then, because you're all serving the same marketplace, you can now share resources that individually you had to have them as an independent company, but you were only using them 10% of the time or 20% of the time. The rest of the time you had to have them, but they're not being fully utilized. Well, now, since you're all serving the same marketplace, you're all aggregating your companies around that marketplace together. You now take those resources, share them, shed a bunch of them because you don't need them anymore. Keep the ones that you're sharing. You bring your cost of doing business down dramatically. And so you're able to dramatically increase your margins. Now, you got to listen to this through, because the leverage here is so awesome. Our oldest aggregation right now is 3 years old. And what we learned is extraordinary. We took companies that were growing at 12 to 15% per year at the most. And the first year we brought the first 3 together, they grew 250% that first year. The next year they grew 260%, and they added 2 more companies. But when you look at those 5 companies at the start of the year, and then at the end of the year, they had grown 260%. Now that's pretty extraordinary. But in the 3rd year, they grew over 1,200%. They only added 2 more companies. And that's so extraordinary that you had to look in there and say, well, what happened? And it's this simple. Let's say you've got this great, phenomenal way of at a very low cost, increasing your sales and exploding them. And you're becoming more profitable because you're reducing your costs. What do you do in business if you want to be competitive? You reduce your price.
Reduce your price.
Okay. Which makes you more competitive than the other guy, right? And they can't match you because they don't have this tool. Okay. So you're going to reduce your cost. Okay, because you now are sharing resources, you're increasing your service at the same time. You're not getting less service when you reduce your price, you're getting more. Because remember, each of you had your own call center, and you went business hours. Now you have one call center, and it goes 24/7, and it gives better time. You're able to hire better quality people. And the next thing is you're getting better service, you're charging less money, and the next thing you do is you pay your people more money because they're more productive. Okay, and you've got the margins to do it. Now, here's what happens in the third year of aggregation. You've got the competition over here. Okay, the owner thinks he owns his customer base, but he doesn't. His employees own the customer base. They're the ones who have the daily relationship with the customer. So suppose you're the star salesman for the competitor over here, and you're looking at your competition lowering their prices, increasing service, and paying your counterpart more money. And
It's time to make the leap.
It's time to make, yeah, see how logical that is?
Right.
Okay, and when they come over, what do they bring with them?
Their customers.
Their customers, okay? So what happens is you end up, by that third year, it's so, you've so outmatched the competition that you literally pull the vast majority of their support base from them. Now, in the third year, we reach actually a critical mass that we didn't expect because of that rapid growth. And the critical mass is we exceed our capacity to deliver. In other words, the sales now are so easy to do that we can't deliver anymore. So then the question is, how do we get that capacity to deliver? Well, we just annihilated our competition. His business is going to come for sale at a bargain price and a bargain terms, and we don't want to buy it for the sales. We already got the majority of those. We're going to be buying because it's got surplus capacity to deliver. And so you do the leverage buyout, you buy that company, you bring it in, and you use those companies that were your competitors to now provide for your capacity to deliver that you were running out of because you were selling so well. So it's a phenomenal model, and it's going to knock everyone's socks off in the next 5 to 10 years. You watch the marketplace.
Fantastic. Hey, we got to wrap it up here, but so thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, no, thank you, and we'll see you soon someplace where we travel. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about together.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.